I was praying, and one of the requests in this prayer was, Lord, what do you want me to do? How do you want to use the experiences I've had with you, the things that you've shown me in ministry, just to minister in some fashion. And I'm going to just take you guys through uh, this conversation, more or less, that I was having with God and what caused me to actually do this video. On that particular morning when I was praying, He asked me. Let me pull it up here. He said, "What are you going to do today?" This is what He asked me. He said, "What are you going to do today?" And when I heard the question, it was like, I'm praying, I'm asking you, what do you want me to do? And your response is, what am I going to do? I had been just meditating on life and considering life. And in this particular moment, part of that meditation came up in that question. And I just read to you what was in my spirit at that moment. The Creator has to be in all of us because we all have some form of life, Zoe life, or this life that we have that is intrinsic to human beings, like the ability to think, to see, to smell, to taste, to hear, to feel, to act out, to move our limbs, run, to play, whatever. All the things that is intrinsic to mankind in this existence, this life. All right, this life that is in us, it, for me, comes from and originates in the Creator. Right? Life as we know it. It appears to me to be a part of God or part of the Creator that has been given to His creation, us. Again, this life. For me, it appears to be a part of the Creator Himself that He's given to His creation, us, meaning mankind. Right? And this is the thing that was illuminated in me in this at this particular time, and again, which caused me to do this video that I'm doing right now. Okay. So in seeing that and in realizing that, here's the next thing that came up in my spirit. He gave us life. What we do with it is our choice. He gave us life, and what we do with that life is our choice. Now, this is the choice that we make as human beings. What will we do with the life that He's given us? And again, for me, that life is a part of the Creator Himself that He's given to us. And that's what's allowing us to animate, to think, to hear, to see, to breathe, to taste, and all that we do. It's a part of Him that is in us, allowing that to happen. Knowing that, I think He was posing that question to me. And when He said, what are you going to do today? It was like, then, to elaborate more during our conversation, it went into what we do with our life is a choice. So I kind of saw He was saying I had to choose what I was going to do with the things He's given me. Like, and even in this moment of me asking Him, what do you want me to do? He's given me something even in this moment. The totality of it all, I could see it, but it all came out in this time of dialogue and prayer that I was going through. And that's what I want to share with you guys today. Think about this statement. God has given us life. What do we do with that life that He's given us? That's our choice. He's given you life. What you do with it is your choice. So he was saying to me, in essence, what are you choosing today to do with the life I gave you? And that's the same question I posed to you. What are you choosing to do today with the life that God gave you? And then the next thing, the question that came in my spirit next was, what choices are you making? Now, again, I'm not going to say that as this was happening, I understood where the Lord was going. I just understood what I was hearing in the moment and was, one, taking notes, writing down what I was hearing, even writing down some of my responses, and then kind of just dialogue, recording this dialogue me and the Lord was having in essence. So the next thing I see is we make choices, and we must live with the consequence of those choices, whether the consequence is good or evil. You know, we make choices every single day, and those choices have consequences. And this is what I was understanding, and what he had given me in those couple questions, and in the couple things that I was seeing within myself through those questions that he was asking. So we make choices, and we have to live with those choices, the consequences of those choices, whether good or evil. So again, I don't know where we're going in this moment. This is what I'm hearing. This is what I'm understanding. This is what I'm writing down as this dialogue transpires between me and the Creator. All right, so think about this. We choose to exercise. We choose not to exercise. We choose to eat a certain food, or we choose not to eat a certain food. We choose to go on a diet, or we choose not to be on a diet. We choose to binge watch, turn on the TV and watch TV all day. We choose to read the scriptures. We choose to pray. We choose to fast. All these different things, all these different choices that we're making, we make those choices, and we have to understand that there are consequences that go with those choices that we're making. Choices, right? We make the choices. And what he was saying to me in this particular encounter is, what am I choosing to do today? What am I choosing to do today? In light of the fact that whatever it is that I choose, there are consequences to those choices that I'm making. And then I began to see a choice is a key component in our lives, and our choices have lasting consequences that we're not always considering when we make those choices. I mean, we make plenty of choices, and we don't always consider the consequences of those choices. I know I had not been prior to this moment, and immediately just a lot of thoughts started coming into my mind about all the choices that we make in any given day, and I'm not even cognizant of that choice having consequences in the moment when I'm making that choice. And then that brought up the question, why do we not consider the consequences of the choices that we make? Because again, we make all these choices daily, but why are we not considering the consequences of those choices? And I'm not going to say we, because I wasn't. And I had to reflect in that moment, why am I not considering the consequences of the choices that I make? When I know my choices have consequences. And given the fact that he started this whole dialogue with, what are you going to choose to do today? I'm like, hold on. This is serious, because what I choose has some consequences, and this is what he's bringing me to an understanding of. And then I think about this. What has trained us to not consider the consequences of our choices? Because we know our choices have consequences, or we should know, and we don't consider the consequence. I'm not going to say again, I'm not going to speak for you guys or who's ever listening. I wasn't always considering the consequence of the choices that I make, all the many choices that I make in any given day. And it's like, I wasn't even seeing a need to consider the consequences of my choices. Why is that? Why do we make all these choices and don't even consider the consequence? What, in essence, what has trained us to live that way? But again, I don't know where we're going. Believe me, I'm taking this in. I'm writing down what I'm hearing, what I'm thinking, my responses to these questions as I have a response. A lot of times I don't have a response. I just start pondering what I'm hearing or the question to try to get a clearer understanding of what he's trying to show me through it. And then it dawns on me this. We make choices, then we act surprised when the consequences of our choices manifest, and we blame others instead of taking the responsibility for the choice that we made. And I've had occasion, I've gotten a little bit better in this area to where I don't blame God for the choices I make. I'm going to say I don't. It may still happen at times. I may get caught up at times, so I won't try to put a definitive, this never happens. But I try to take the responsibility. When I make a choice, I take the responsibility for it. But a lot of times I see where people make choices, the consequence comes, they don't take responsibility for their part, the choice that they made that brought about the consequence. And then we have a tendency to blame other people for the choices we make and to blame God. Right? And we're not even considering those consequences when we make the choices. Now, all of this started to dawn on me in this particular moment of conversation with the Lord. Now, I know sometimes, and even in my life, we do consider the consequence when we're making what we think is a big choice. When we had that big decision we have to make, we weighed our options and we think about the consequences if we move this way or move that way. But that's not the norm with, and I realize that's not the norm with all the choices that I make. I haven't been considering the consequences for all the daily choices that I make in any given day. And then I think about it. It's almost like we've been trained to just make choices on like an autopilot. And what trained us? What trained me to make choices on autopilot and not consider the consequences of some of the things that I choose? Is this, and again, these are the things that I wrote down, and this is what comes up next in my spirit. Is this the way God intended for us to make choices? On autopilot? To just make choices and not consider what the consequence of those choices are going to be. And again, all this started with, what are you going to choose to do today? All right? And I don't know, I like talking through the experience in such a way that it shows one relationship, because I think that's what the Creator is after, a relationship with us. And the questions that come up in my spirit when I'm dialoguing with the Lord, they are some very thought-provoking questions. So that's why a lot of times I'm writing them down. I'm writing down my responses because I normally when I'm speaking or I'm ministering, I try to minister in the same way the Lord has ministered to me. So that's why I pose these questions to you guys. And sometimes I'm saying it like I'm talking to you, but understand this is what was talking to me in that moment. So I'm just expressing it to you in that same way. So do you think that's God's intended way for us to make choices? Just to do it like on autopilot and not consider the consequences of the choices that we make? And should we consider the consequence for every choice? Like every time I choose, should I be taking time to consider what the consequence of that choice is going to be? And you know, as I thought about that question, this dawned on me. You know what? I don't even always know what the consequence is going to be for every choice that I make. So to say, should I consider every single choice, the consequences for every single choice, seems with some choices might be impossible because I don't actually even know. I might not even know what the consequences are. Right? I mean, well, maybe you know the consequences for every choice you're going to make. But then I began to see or realize that in my life, some choices that I made, I realized the consequence afterwards. And then I had to learn from it. Whether good or evil, I had those consequences that were good. Hey, I learned that, hey, I can make that choice and expect good to be a result of it or a consequence of it. And some choices that were not, I come to learn, hey, if I make that choice, the consequence is not going to be a good ending for me. So some of the choices that we make, we don't actually know the consequence until sometime later, but it is upon us to try to learn from the consequences of our choices. And then there's some who are like me prior to this encounter and these questions that the Lord was posing to me, who would respond, yeah, I consider the choices I make. Yeah, I do consider the consequences of the choices that I make. Yeah, so that's not me. And then here's what I heard. Okay, if you consider them, what did you consider would be the consequence of the food that you ate last night? Before you ate last night, you telling me you considered, hey, if I eat this, this is what the consequence is going to be. Or when you were getting drunk last night, before you start taking those drinks, did you say, consider, hey, this is going to be the consequence of me drinking that bottle of liquor? Is that what you did? Or when you made that phone call yesterday or today or whenever you called someone, did you, before you made that call, did you consider what's the consequence of the choice that you're about to make? Here's another one that came into my spirit in that moment when I started to think that maybe I do consider the consequence of my choices. That consequence to sleep in. You know, when you have that day off and you decide to sleep in, like I'm gonna sleep in today because I don't have nowhere to go and nowhere to go at this moment. I don't have to go to. I have to get up for work, so I'm gonna sleep in. Did you consider the consequence of sleeping in, or did you just make that decision on autopilot, like we do? And what's the consequence? Did you miss out on the opportunity because you slept in? Or did you miss out on something bad that might have happened had you not slept in? What's my point? There are consequences with all our decisions. And are we considering those consequences? We make so many choices subliminally without considering the consequence of those choices. And again, in that moment, it started to dawn on me that the consequence of our choices are built into creation. It's not like this is happenstance. If I choose a certain thing, who knows what's going to happen? No. I believe the Lord was showing me in that moment, what are you going to do today? Meaning, what choices are you going to make? Because there's some consequences that are already built into creation based on whatever choice you make. Our choices are very, very important. Why aren't we considering the consequences of those choices? All right, so why do I say that? Why do I say that the consequence of our choices is built into creation? A couple scriptures came to my mind as I was thinking about that. One was, whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also reap. It's something built into creation that says, what you sow, you're going to reap. The choice of sowing, whatever that thing you're choosing to sow, you're going to reap a benefit or a consequence from that sowing. There is something specific that's going to happen when you sow a certain way. That's what that scripture is saying. Here's another one. Seed time and harvest time shall remain. There's something about sowing a seed that an expected harvest will come as a result of a specific seed being sown. It's built into creation. It's not something that's going to happen haphazardly. So when I choose to sow a seed, no matter no matter what that seed is, a seed of encouragement, like I'm trying to do now, or a seed of knowledge, or seed sown into someone's life, a financial blessing, whatever the seed is, the scriptures say that seed time and harvest will remain, meaning built into the creation, that choice will produce a certain thing, a certain consequence, so to speak. And I'm using the word consequence based on the fact that the Lord said, what choice are you going to make today? Because there is a consequence that goes with that choice. All right, so knowing that, and I pose it to you, knowing that our consequences have choices, what are you going to choose to do today? In that moment, the conversation brought me to that. I said, okay, Lord, you're asking me this question. You started with, what are you choosing today? And then we went through what I just kind of talked us through. And it started dawning on me or enlightening in me that I should plan my day. I shouldn't go through the day haphazardly. I should plan. I shouldn't make a bunch of choices without considering the consequence. I should be making choices based on the consequence that I want, the thing that I want to happen, and make a choice based on the desired result that I'm looking for. So I need to plan. I can't continue to make choices haphazardly, not considering the consequence of my choice. And even in saying I need to plan, I can't even do that alone. I need to involve the Creator in my planning. And as I wrote those two things down, one, I need to plan, and then I need to plan involving the Creator in my planning, it dawned on me that this is not something that is like just a one-time occurrence. Like the beginning of the day, I'm going to plan my whole day and every single choice I'm going to have to make. You can't do that at the beginning of the day. Life presents things within the course of a day that you didn't consider at the beginning, and you have to make a choice. So this relationship with the Creator and me planning my day has to be something constant that I'm doing throughout the whole day. It can't just be at the start of my day, I plan all the choices I'm going to make. No, I have to be in constant relationship with the Creator throughout the day, planning what I'm going to choose to do, and that being based on what's being presented to me in that day, in any given moment. So involving Him becomes paramount in making those choices. And as I thought about just that planning and involving the Creator throughout the day, it dawned on me that's not my norm. Normally, I pray at the beginning of the day. I consult God, bring my concerns, and perform and listen for His response, and try to understand what it is that He's calling me to say or to do. I write down those conversations when I'm hearing something that He's actually impressing upon my spirit. And normally then I go through my day, and I ain't gonna say always, because sometimes there are things that happen throughout the day that cause me to call upon the Lord and seek His guidance in the midst of my day. But it's not actually the norm. Those are they happen less times than they actually should. Okay. But normally I pray at the beginning of the day, I go through my day, go to work, do what I have to do, spend my day at home, come home, cut TV on, cut the computer on, do some things. And then at the end of the day, I pray and start consulting God again. So beginning and the end was the times where I normally, okay? So bringing them in, all of the planning, all of decisions is something that wasn't normal for me, and something that I believe He was introducing to me in that moment. So I started to consider what that actually looks like. And in that moment, constantly choosing to spend that time with Him and include Him in my decisions seemed a lot like internal reflection. And I reflect internally a lot, and had been reflecting internally just a whole lot. And it seemed like I had a whole lot stored in me from all this internal reflection that I had been doing, but none of it was being released. And I'm questioning to myself, is even all this internal reflection even good? Is it good to have all these things, these nuggets, these experiences, these revelations that God has revealed inside of me, but they're not being dispensed out of me to manifest anything in the earth? And believe me, all this is coming up to in this moment. All this as a response to the question, what are you going to choose to do today? Right? So, like I say, all of that is what prompted me to say, hey, I need to start dispensing some of the things that the Lord is showing me, some of the things that He's revealed in me, and stop just internally reflecting on these things and not doing anything with it. So again, that's one of the reasons why through this conversation, the result is the video that I'm making right now, that you're watching right now. And then when we talk about dispensing that which the Lord has given us, that's a choice, right? So even in that, I realized in that moment I have to even present that before Him, and to make sure of how I say what I say, because there's a consequence in the way that I choose to say what I say, and the way that I present it, there's a consequence. So how I say a thing and what method I use to say it, whether like this, social media, whether it's going out on the street corner, or whatever that choice is, there is a consequence to those choices. So consulting Him really makes a difference. And then I understand, I just need to turn to the Creator. When it comes to making choices, We need to turn to him. And as I thought about that, here's what I heard. It's his life. It's his life. Choose to give it back to him. It's his life. Choose to give it back to him. Again, all of this was as a result of the question that started out, what choice are you going to make today? So, it's not my life. This is what I'm starting to gather. This is not my life. And as that thought started to enter in my mind, I started seeing what I hear normally, which is people saying, it's my life. I can do whatever I want with it. And I started to realize how that statement is not factual. It's not our life. This life that we have is simply not our life. We didn't create the life that we have. We're not even responsible for our existence. We're here because two other people, not us, two other people made a choice. And we're the consequence of the choice that two other people made. That choice produced something in the womb of a woman that our Creator gave life to. What part did you play in the life that you're calling yours? You played no part in it whatsoever. But you say it's your life. No, you're just a consequence of the choice that two other people made. And the life that you have is not your own, as in you own it. You didn't create life. You experience life, but it's not yours, as in you're the creator. You get what I'm saying? And it dawned on me in that moment that our life is not our own. Then I got this question, and I posed this question to you. What part of your life do you own that you haven't borrowed? What part of your life that you say is your life, what part did you not borrow? Your body, which you got as a result of the choice two other people made? Your ability to think, to smell, to taste, which you got from the Creator? Which part of that is yours? You're borrowing this life that you have. It was given to you through no means of your own. So we need to cut it out with that notion that it's our life. It's actually not. The life you have is a result of your parents. You owe your existence to them and to the Creator. I mean, that's just the truth. And knowing that that is the truth, what should our response be? What should our response be? For me, I just see it as, when I talk about the choices that I'm going to make or what I'm going to do, what do I choose to do with the life that He gave me? I should be choosing to filter it through my parents, because they're responsible for my existence, and my Creator. Now, sometimes our parents are not as responsible as they ought, so maybe filtering through them isn't always, filtering our choices through them may not always be the best option, but filtering them through the Creator is. And that just brought me back full circle to what He was trying to show me, is that whatever choices I'm making today, I need to involve Him in those choices, because this life He gave it to me. Now, what I choose to do with it is my choice, but I should be including Him in those choices, because those choices will have consequences. Then I started to think about this, and I'm still pondering. This is not our this. We think this life is ours, but it's really not. And I started to think about how dependent on others we are, and how little of our actual being is ours. How dependent we are on others, and how little our being actually is ours, as in it's ours by like we own who we are, like this is my life. And this is what I started to think about. We have bodies, our physical bodies are borrowed. We borrowed them from that agreement between our mom and dad. That's where you get your body from. You didn't create your own body, but you say it's yours. No, it's actually a piece of your mom and a piece of your dad. It's not yours by ownership. It's actually theirs. And through their agreement, producing you. And again, the creator giving life to that form. And so even your body is not your own. Not like you created yourself. The air you breathe, it's a part of this creation. You didn't create the air that's causing you to have life, the breath of life. You didn't create that. You get that from someone else. The water you drink that causes you to live, it's a part of this creation. You're borrowing it. The knowledge you receive in the form of the thoughts that you think, the dreams and the visions that you have, they're not yours as an ownership. You're getting them from somewhere. But we get thoughts and dreams and inspirations that come from somewhere else. We don't even know where they're coming from. Most of the time, you think a thought, you don't know where it came from. But we take credit for it when that thought, that dream, that inspiration manifests into something physical. We take the credit as if it was ours. No, you borrowed that from somewhere. Even the resources that we use to build and to create, we use the resources that are in creation, that are in the earth, that we have no part in its creation, or it's the reason why those resources are here. We're borrowing them. Yet we take the resources as if they're our own. We take the thoughts, the inspirations, we put things together, and then we say, this is what I came up with. What part of that was actually you? The resources wasn't yours. The thoughts wasn't yours. The inspiration wasn't yours. Your body isn't yours. The air you're using isn't yours. The water you're drinking isn't yours. Yet we, human beings, mankind, thinks they own stuff that they're not responsible for, even their life. Like you say, this is my life. Is it really yours? I went through all that and then it dawned on me. The only thing we actually own is our choice. What we choose to do with those things that we're borrowing is the only thing we can really take ownership of. So again, I ask, just as the Lord asked me, what are you choosing to do today? I hope something that I said was thought-provoking. That's what it's meant to be. It's meant to cause you to think. Let's just pray over that before I go. Heavenly Father, I just thank you that what you've given me to say would be planted on good ground, that it would bring forth the harvest that you've purposed, that the hearer will hear your voice, that they would see what you're trying to illuminate, and that the seeds will be planted and watered to bring forth the increase. For we call forth your kingdom, Lord. In all that we say and do, it is your kingdom that is our agenda. And we just declare that this will produce a harvest for your kingdom. In Jesus' name, amen. So, guys, let me know what you think about my first video. I hope it is a blessing to you in some way. Like I said, that thing about choice is what caused me to even do this video. I chose to do this video, but I made that choice because the Lord was impressing upon me what I'm going to choose to do today. So the choice was to take those words that he gave me and do something with them. And what I chose to do with them was make this video. Hopefully it was a blessing to you. Until the next one, have a great day. Peace.